there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be a reorganization of all of my single eyeshadows that I keep in these kind of palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, it may be good to know that I focus on eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. And one thing I did in 2022 is that I swatched out all of my single shadows, and I've come into things, and whenever I do an eyeshadow palette declutter, there are always a couple of shades I'd like to keep, so I repress them, or like this, I pop them out of palettes. So I want to make sure I rejig this because I have come into things that I just want to make sure I incorporate into things. Plus, I would like to organize things more so by color than I do like the way I do it now. So this is MAC and Makeup Geek, and then in here I have all of my multi-chromes, and then here I have my cool tone shades, and this is my blue, green, purple palette. But I just want to make sure I have like a blue palette and a green palette and a neutral palette. So some of these are gonna stay as they are for the most part, but some of them are also going to get a good rejig. Plus, something I haven't done is that I haven't gone through all of these and really sort of, you know, decided what to keep and not. Because now that I've come into other things that I sometimes like better, some older things perhaps do not need to stay. So that's something I skipped when I did my makeup declutter, because I first wanted to make sure that I had repressed some eyeshadows from palettes so that I could do the reorganization in one go. Plus, something I want to do is that, for instance, I have some of these Nabla singles, I'm not sure if you can see, and they are a slightly different size than a normal round pan. And also this square one just bugs me to pieces. And over here as well, I have these really big shades from JD Glow, and those I think I want to repress because I have a bunch of these like single pans now that I also use to repress some eyeshadows from palettes into. So I'm gonna use those to make them smaller so that I still have the shade, but that I can make everything a bit more aesthetically pleasing, because these square pans don't bug me, but these two big round ones do. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So I hope you would like to stay tuned for all of that goodness. And before we get into the video, it may be good to know that I have fair skin with a cool undertone, and I have been buying, trying, and reviewing makeup for more than a decade. So I have strong opinions. I know what I like. I know what works for me. And that's what the focus of this channel is. So if you deem yourself a fellow snow angel, then I would like to invite you to join the club by clicking subscribe down below. Let's get to the video. So these are by Nabla, and even though they're square, they're small, and they're roughly the same size as a round pan, so I don't feel I need to repress those. And I think that these Natasha Denona shades can stay in their pans as well. Like, I don't really mind different sizes. What I don't mind is that if they don't really fit into the whole thing. So let me start things off by repressing some of these shades, because that's what needs to do, what I need to do first. So we're gonna take these two from JD Glow and give them a repress. And now what I want to do with these, what shade are these? This is Unexpected, and this is Sin. And I'm just going to go about it the way I did some of my, how I repotted some things when I last reorganized my eyeshadow palette collection. And I'm just going to put the pan on here like this and give it a press down to see if that will already take out some of the shade. It doesn't. This is very creamy. So this doesn't really need a lot of repressing, I'm sure. So I'm just going to scoop some into this pan and mush it about. Press down on the eyeshadow too. See, and you can just see how wet that is from pressing down on it. Ooh, but then you can see that we've got some room for more. See, this really giant sized pan is just unnecessary because the amount of shadow fits into a regular size pan, which is what I was thinking actually with these, that would be the case. And there we have Unexpected repressed. Just gonna press down on it firmly, and then you're able to repress pretty much any eyeshadow. It works for shimmers, it works for mattes, and this was actually something that you guys recommended I do after seeing me struggle repressing a Juvia's Place matte that just started cracking because of the alcohol. Because with rubbing alcohol, once the alcohol dries down, it can actually mess up the formula of the eyeshadow. And this way, you're not messing with the formula. You're just breaking it up and putting it in a different pan, which is exactly what I want to do today. So this is a much easier method for me. And it does take a bit more time, but the advantage of this one is that you don't have to wait for the eyeshadow to dry overnight, which is what I was always doing when I used rubbing alcohol. Because it's wet, you can just close the packaging, and this you can repress and you can start using it immediately. Like, look at that, it's really coming together. So that is now Sin from JD Glow. In here, I've got a couple that need the same treat. So I'm just going to take out all of these Nabla and like odd shapes that I have out of these palettes. Because like, look at this. This could be such a stunning palette, but because of all of those larger Nabla shades, it just doesn't fit, which is a shame. Because I don't want that mess to absolutely go everywhere. I'm just laying a layer of tissues down so we can do it that way, hopefully. So I've got my repressed shadows here. It definitely works better for shimmers than it does for mattes, but hey ho, I think we're good. Giving them that repress into the pan definitely helps, I think. But yeah, it's a method that works better with a shimmer than with a matte. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just arrange these things according to their colors, because I have some like green, blues, and purples in here. And I'm just like, this one I think I want to keep at it as is. This is my multi-chrome palette. So this I won't be messing with. Like, this is fine. But maybe, because these aren't multi-chromes, so maybe I should try and rearrange these two by Terramoons, because they're not multi-chromes. The other ones are all like multi-chromes of some kind, so that is fine. Yeah, these four need to go somewhere. So these are also Nabla shades that I pulled from the Secret palette, so those need to go somewhere as well. These are shades from the Glaminatrix, Nearly Natural, and the Natasha Denona Lila palette. These are my favorite shades from those two palettes. And same thing here. These are some repressed Pat McGrath shadows. These are also Nabla singles that I repressed. And then these are again from the Glaminatrix that I wanted to keep. So apparently my camera stopped recording, so I don't know where we were at, but I just pulled this shade from this little Lethal palette. So I'm not going to keep the palette. I can't repurpose this in these two warm tones I don't love, but I love a good teal. So that's going to stay. And another thing that's just going to stay as is. Oh, no. Nothing got broken, nothing got hurt, is this Menagerie Violet ink. I repurposed this to keep some shades in that I pulled from my Whale Song and Flight Club palettes. So these are from other Menagerie palettes, and I dispersed the shades that were originally in the violet ink in those other two palettes. So I still want to keep these around, just in case I ever want to rearrange those color stories, I'm gonna be able to. So this is going to stay as is. And then I was explaining how I was going to reorganize my Lethal palettes at a later date, because they now do 24 pan eyeshadow palettes, which I would like to buy 2 of them, because I have 48 Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadows, and I'm still playing around with these ones that I bought in the Black Friday sale, so I still need to do 1 or 2 looks with this to really get a good feel for them. It's got some of their multi-chromes in, which I really wanted to try. And I do want to keep my Lethal shades together because they have the square pans and I really like the design of these. So I just want to, these are organized by color story. So this is the purples and pinks. And then I have blues and greens. More green actually, greeny teals. And then here we have some more blues with some warm tones. And then I do want to somehow disperse these over those other palettes as well. But like I said, I first want to purchase those other 2 like larger palettes and then reorganize them. And then these are going to be so handy for creating color stories, because they're, especially these older ones, like this is the newer style, they're a bit bigger. But these older ones are great for, reusing and creating color stories, I'm sure. I feel similarly about this Inglot palette. Like these are just going to stay as is. I don't need to disperse these. It's got mainly pastels in. So if I want to go for pastels, I know where to find them. But shades that I need to disperse are these Sydney Grace shades. But I know I don't want to keep all of them. I definitely do want to keep those. And I want to keep these 3 and that shade. But these warm tones were just not really my favorites. So I'm going to keep the ones along the bottom and this one. And this is something someone repressed for me. And then I have another small palette for rebuilding color stories. Yeah, like I said, this needs a rejig. My blue, green, purple palette. Save for the Cool Tone Neutrals palette. These are all Sydney Grace, save for these 2 from Nabla that I just repressed. And then these are my MAC and Makeup Geek singles. Like these I need to disperse. And then I also need to do something with my Glamshop singles, because these are lovely quality. Oh, let me pop them somewhere. So these Glamshop singles also need to go in the larger, grander scheme of things. And this is my Fun Shimmer palette. But the thing is that it's got like neutrally shades, then purples, blues, and like greens and a yellow. So maybe I should just make a blue, green, neutral, and purple palette and put these in with my other shades. So that's another thing I probably want to do. And how am I going to make the space? Because I was thinking, like one of these can be a neutral palette, one of these can be like a purple palette, and one of them can be a blue palette. But I don't think it's going to fit because this is already full. Like these are full palettes, and I have all of these shades to go into it. So I was thinking I'm going to declutter most of my ColourPop singles, because even though I like these, there's only a handful of shades in here that I truly adore. And I did swatch all of these out, like all of my singles in 2022, but this was the last one I did. And when I was swatching these ColourPop singles, I was just so underwhelmed compared to everything else that I've got going on in my collection. So I was like, right, I'm just going to keep like the handful of things. Oh, that was a smudge. Oh, that's just great. Is this one of the packaging that never cleans up? Oh no, it's okay. We're doing good. So I want to keep the packaging of these, but I'm going to get rid of the shadows that are inside it. That's the way we're going to do it. So here, I believe this was a shade that was really good. That's Antimatter. This is a really nice shimmer, like a teal shimmering shade. So I know I want to keep that. I believe it, if it's a shade Antimatter, this one, then that's the one I'm keeping. Yes, that I'm keeping. I remember also really liking this. This is Mr. Sandman. I don't have this in any of my palettes anymore because I had it already as a single. And that's like a really nice warmer neutral shade. So I do want to keep that. It's mainly shimmers that I want to keep from ColourPop. This is a satin, but Crown Jewel is such a good cool tone purple that I just want to perhaps keep it around. But let me see how it swatches. Yeah, that's just a bit weak. So that doesn't necessarily have to say. Maybe this one. Try Me. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh no, it's very powdery. No, don't need to keep. Everything else in this palette is gonna go. So that is one empty palette, but now we need to take out some of these. I do like this silver, but I've also just repressed the silver that I have from Catrice, which is over here. That is really, really old, but I do really like that. So I'm gonna have to swatch those in a minute just to see how similar they are. And I remember liking this. This is Glass Bull. And is this Tea Garden? Tea Garden, like I like some of these shimmering shades. These khakis I may want to keep. Let me give these a swatch. Okay, so we have another empty palette here, which is great. So now I need to get organized. I was gonna go and do this for a minute. Ooh, these are really shallow pans. Ooh, did I just knock you over? And then this one as well. Oh, see, now we did the Glamshop one's gonna be there. Oh, we have all of the multi-chromes in one space. Oh, love that. Okay. And then we have a bit of space over here. Maybe pull out the green ones first? Is that an idea? I don't know why, but I'm feeling like doing greens first. So this was that Antimatter. This is Sideline. We have that khaki green. This is that greeny rosemary shade from the Nabla. See, and this is what I would call a blue tone teal. And this is a green tone teal. So this can go perhaps with the greens. And I know this is a white to green. This is a blue. But this is definitely more of a green. And this as well. Nomadic Radiance. Yeah, this is more blue. This is more green. And this is, oh, that's the teal from Nabla that I just repressed. And then I can pull some of the greens from this palette. Ooh, I've got over 40 green eyeshadows. And these big ones fit 35. And I didn't think I had that many green shades. Like, who am I? Like, oh. I think maybe in this one it might fit. But yeah, so we've got all the greens, which is good. So now I just need to find a palette to pop it into. So I'm gonna try and pop all of my green shades into here. Okay, so these 5 didn't really fit into the green palette, but I'm thinking we're doing pretty okay here. So we've got some cooler tone things over on this side, and then we've got some warmer tone things over on this side, and we just have the square ones here. Maybe, because this is such a nice teal shade, this should go here, just to have it there. And this can go there. Like, I still need to configure it a bit better perhaps, but I do really enjoy the look of this. Like, it's nothing too bothersome to me. And this way I have all of my greens in one place, including some of the turquoises, but like the brighter things I'm thinking of sticking with the blues. Because I'm actually thinking, now that I'm looking at it, that maybe I just don't have that many blues. I had far more greens than I had anticipated, for sure. So that is what it looks like now. The green palette. Green palette, I think, done. I'm gonna put it to the side for now, and then we can perhaps work on the blues next, because I've been saying how I want these to be blues, perhaps. So let me find all the blues. There are fewer blues though than there are greens, because this is 39. So I think I'm gonna try and put the blue shades in here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more spaces and I've got 5 shades. No! Oh, we'll put the matte in here. Oh yeah, this shade is really pretty. And this is, oh yeah, this is that Turbo Glow shade. Yeah. And then I have Marine Waters and Aquarius. I do really like this. Like, I can still have like a fun shimmer palette in a minute, I'm sure, because I think I'm also going to have too many shimmers to begin with, but I'm not sure about you, but I think that looks like a really successful blue tone palette. Let's make a purple palette. I have fewer purples than I had anticipated, so maybe I don't need the big one. It's still 36 shades, though. Looks like a lot less than the blues and the greens. But I think I'm just going to use this one then. And there we have my purple color story, which on camera looks really pink. But we've got some more blue tones over here. These are like the lighter lavendery kind of shades. We've got some warmer purples over here, and these are like the true purples that I love best, that are sort of in the middle here. So these are like more gray leaning things, more blue leaning things. This is a duochrome weird shade from Luxie called Omega, and it's got blue and purple and green, it seems, but it's not quite a multi-chrome, so that's why we're keeping it in here. So that's the purple palette. And that means that we can convert the ColourPop palettes into possibly neutral palettes. So maybe do one matte and one shimmer. How fun is that? I thought that could be fun. So I definitely have more shimmers than mattes, which is not a surprise if you know anything about me. So let me just make sure this is a bit better organized. I was like, oh, that's gonna fit. It's not. But I also see, I'm not sure if you can see the same thing. Can you see what I see? Like, this is unique. That's Chickadee from Makeup Geek. Like, in terms of neutral mattes, I kind of know what I like. So do we need to keep all of these shades? So maybe I should swatch a few of these just to be sure. So let me grab this, 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 and this. So this is MAC Sketch. This has always swatched horribly. But it's a really nice like burgundy kind of shade. My hands are covered in eyeshadow. I do apologize. Ooh. Oh yeah, of course. Blackberry from MAC is another one that never swatched great, but it does look really nice if you use it with a brush. This is Love and Happiness from Sydney Grace. That's really pretty. And this is Dried Heather from Glamshop. So I think by now I can get rid of Blackberry, because Dried Heather from Glamshop does the same thing. So that's, is that the one that I had to get rid of then? I think I actually should get rid of more. Move this over, because then we can pop these along the bottom. And then you can pop Makeup Geek Chickadee in the middle. Like, I also think that these two are too similar. And I'm gonna have to reorganize this, of course, to make the color story make sense. I think I have every tone of matte that I possibly need, and I actually don't mind the messy look. But let me give it a rejig, because I know that's gonna bug me down the line. I'm gonna be like, oh, why didn't I do that? So this is quite possibly a bit more pleasing to most people. I definitely like it. So we've got a neutral matte palette. So now for a neutral shimmer palette. And I definitely think I'm gonna have to split the shimmers into like fun shimmers and neutral shimmers, because that just makes sense. Okay, so we've created a neutral toned shimmer palette. These are all the softer shimmers, and then I have the very vibrant in-your-face shimmers for the other palette left. the more intense shimmer palette. That's what I've created now. So here's the more intense shimmers, neutral tones. And then we're just going to pop everything else that remains into this. So then we have my fun shimmers left, and with that my memory card is almost full, so I'm gonna have to leave it here. We did a lot of reorganizing of eyeshadows of my single shadow collection, so I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I make videos on here 4 times a week, so I've got lots more content coming your way. So please subscribe to the channel, thumbs up this video in the meantime, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!